We hope that you find this webinar very informative, and I'm going to hand it off to the beautiful Miss Melissa Stark, who will start us off. Melissa?
Good morning, everyone. I want to welcome you here today. Just to introduce myself, I'm Melissa Stark, and I am the Commissioner of Apprenticeship Programs for the state of Utah. And we're going to talk a little bit about why we're here today. Hang on just one second. I have there we go. I had to find my slides again in my notes. I'm so sorry for that. Anyway, I wanted to thank you all for joining us today. As Joy mentioned, we're going to be recording this session, and we will be sharing this recording, and suggest that you tell your friends and colleagues and family and neighbors and everyone that
Did we lose her?
In the state with healthcare, to give you a little bit of a heads up as to what to expect. Our agenda is as follows. We're going to briefly discuss why we're here today, what the advantages of registered apprenticeship are as a workforce solution in your business. We will hear from our state director from the Federal Office of Apprenticeship, Pat Miller. She's going to share with us some information about what apprenticeships really are, and the components that go with them and the value that they bring. And then we'll turn the time back over to Joy Jamerson, that will talk about our partnership with Hcap and what their role is nationally and what we're hoping to do here in Utah. We'll also have a panel discussion where you'll get to hear firsthand from other employers in the healthcare industry that are currently using registered apprenticeship programs to help them grow and stabilize and retain people within their businesses. We will have time for a Q&A at the end. However, if you have questions, please put them in the Q&A, and we'll monitor those and the chat box throughout the webinar as well. So now let's talk about why we're here today. Madeline, if you could switch the slide, please. This is the growth that we're seeing and what we're expecting here in Utah. We are expecting there to be about 180,000, 185,000 job openings between 2020 and 2060. Why is that important? Where do we get this information from? So the Kempsey Gardner Institute recently released its long-term projections for the population and employment changes within Utah. So these projections show the growth. This is within healthcare and our social assistance industry and what they're expected to grow by. This is making it one of the largest drivers of employment growth within the state. The projections for the healthcare are really molded from national trends, taking into account our local population growth, as well as connecting with industry partners to really look at what they're seeing and the dynamics that they're seeing within their businesses. So there's 5 trends that were identified here. Expansion and contraction of healthcare and social assistance tend to follow the population growth and the changing needs in healthcare. Recent federal and state changes have helped to expand access to healthcare coverage, which positively impacts the demand for healthcare services and may also increase the effect of employment. However, the ongoing workforce shortage in healthcare and social assistance industries could also have a dampening effect on our employment growth. So we need to see how we combat that, or what do we do about that so that doesn't happen to us. It doesn't dampen it, but we continue to grow. Rather than it resulting in declining employment, what's expected is that we're going to see some shifts within the sector and with people moving from one area to another within healthcare. So as Utah's demographics continue to change and our healthcare needs continue to change, we're going to continue to experience that employment growth. And these points all suggest that we're going to remain strong over time because Utah's population also continues to grow. If we can switch the slide, please. So not only do we see the growth in healthcare between now and 2060, but we also see our latest employment situation that was shared with us by the Department of Workforce Services within the last couple of weeks. Our unemployment rate here in Utah is 1.9%, and our growth rate is 3.9%. In private industry, the growth rate is really 4.3%. So, and in the last year, for year-over-year job growth gains, all 10 of Utah's major private sector industry groups grew or added net over job gains. So not only do we have this big growth in healthcare, but we're also competing for talent with all the other industries within the state. So what do? We have to look at all avenues for hiring and retaining employees, things that we may have thought of in the past, things that we may have thought about but not implemented, or things that we've never thought of. And so if you have had experiences or heard about or thought about registered apprenticeship programs as a way to not only make your industry grow, but to retain the talent that you have, that may be something that you need to consider implementing if you have not. And this is what we're going to talk about today, is what the value is for that, why it should be considered, and how to go about that. So if you'll switch the slide, please. This slide just gives you a quick preview of some of the benefits and the return on investment that we're going to talk about and that you will see in your apprenticeship program should you choose to implement one or add that strategy to some of the things that you're already doing. So again, we're not talking about replacing what you're doing, but adding to it, just giving you some additional tools within your areas of expertise to help you continue to grow. So for now, I'm going to turn the time over to Pat Miller. She is our state director here with the Federal Office of Apprenticeship, and she's located locally here in Salt Lake City. Pat.
Good morning, everybody. As Melissa said, my name is Pat Miller, and I'm the state director for Utah. I work with the U.S. Department of Labor, the Office of Apprenticeship, and I've been doing it for 18 years. I've seen some pretty impressive stuff go on in this state, and it makes me more and more proud to live here and be a part of it. Next slide, please. What is a registered apprenticeship? It's a talent acquisition. I heard a sponsor use this recently, and I told him I was going to swipe that and use it because it's such a good way to talk about what registered apprenticeship does. It's an earn while you learn model. An earn while you learn means that you are being paid from day one, which is an incentive for people to go into a registered apprenticeship because there's no lag time between starting and getting paid. It's an on-the-job learning with technical instruction. So they're taking what they learn in school or wherever they're getting their technical instruction, and they're putting it to work right away. So they learn that there is a reason why this technique gets used on this job. It helps the instructions stick better. And it's customizable to the needs of the employer. There's no two companies that do things exactly the same way. So with a registered apprenticeship, we can take the basic model and customize it so that it fits exactly what your company needs and exactly the way you want your people trained so that they fit your company well. Next slide, please. Components of a registered apprenticeship. It's paid employment. We've already talked about that. It's work-based learning, earn while you learn. That is my favorite phrase to use in everyday life, earn while you learn. Classroom technical training. We're going to talk about all the different ways that we can accomplish that. It involves a mentorship with journey worker level trainers. The supervisors and the experts in your company are going to teach these people how you want to do business. National credentials. This credential is recognized nationwide, it's portable, and it's even recognized outside of the United States by several other companies. Next slide, please. Training options. There's 3 different options that we now have for how we put forth the training plan. There's a time-based plan that has a set number of hours of on-the-job learning, along with a set number of hours of technical instruction. And it's the way business has always been done. But in the new world, with the new systems and the new drive and needs, we also have the competency-based program, which is an open entry, open exit, where the apprentice has a basic outline of how long it's going to take, but there are competencies attached to that, and they can go at their own pace and accomplish these competencies and get them signed off. So they pretty much set the pace of how fast they go through this program. And then there's the hybrid approach, which is a combination of the time-based program and the competency program. What that entails is a window with a minimum set of hours and a maximum set of hours that allows that apprentice and the company to motivate and move that apprentice through the apprenticeship at a comfortable pace for both. And they can complete within the minimum set of hours. And it takes them a little bit longer because some people, life gets in the way, and it may take them a little bit longer to get there. But the hybrid approach allows the comfort and the ease of that. Slide, please. Schooling technical options. There are 4 options. With COVID and the current situation, online learning has become the latest, greatest, newest way out there for people to access technical training. There's also the college courses and brick and mortar, what we call brick and mortar classrooms, where they can go and sit with their other students and be face-to-face with the instructors. Self-paced correspondence courses are also an option, and on-site learning. So with the competency-based model, on-site learning is what works best. And with what I have seen with a lot of our medical companies, this model tends to work best for a lot of that industry. Next slide, please. Now, this is what you all have come for, the benefits for the employers. It helps develop a highly skilled workforce because it helps you develop the workforce your way. With a little bit of help from us to enhance your training programs, it allows you to get the skilled workforce you want. Reduce turnover. When everybody is on the same page and everybody is working for a common goal, which is for that employee to become the very best employee they know how to be, so that your company becomes even better than it was before. Increases productivity. With a set training plan that everybody is comfortable with, the instructors, the supervisors, and the employees, that reduces the instance of slip-ups, slow learning, because everybody knows where they're at. Lower cost of recruitment and training. Well, that's obvious because you're not going to be hiring as many people to replace turnover. Because when the employee feels validated by the employer and the employer feels that they have a valuable employee, people stay. It creates a stable training plan and environment. Everybody knows what's expected. The training is stabilized, it's formalized, everybody is working on the same goal. And it encourages loyalty to the business. When the employees feel that they're validated by the employer and the employer feels that that employee is invested in their company, everybody wins. Next slide, please. The benefits for the apprentices. practical on-the-job training and occupation of choice. This is a practical plan, and everybody knows why they're doing what they're doing every step of the way. There's no question as to why do I have to learn this, because it's automatically put to work and they see the value of what they're learning. Technical schooling in a variety of ways, and there may also be some college credit if they want to pursue a college degree. Many of the courses have college credit attached to them through our local education system. Little or no education debt. Boy, is that not a big thing out there now. With Division of Workforce Services, grants, and some employer buy-in, many of the apprentices will finish their apprenticeship with little or no debt. No big mountain standing there for them to have to accomplish after they get done. Career potential with greater earning. Boy, don't we all want that. It allows them to know that they are valuable, and it allows the employers to know that they're valuable. So compensation comes at a regular pace after that. The nationally recognized credential. It is invaluable and recognized in all 50 states and Canada and many parts of Europe as well. Registered apprenticeship is not just an America thing, it's a world thing. And we are part of that. Next slide, please. Veterans. For the veteran apprentice, there are many ways for their GI Bill to come into play in a registered apprenticeship program. The tax-free stipend that they can get by using their GI Bill to supplement the apprenticeship wage allows them to be paid between their apprenticeship wages and the stipend at a journeyman level. So they start their apprenticeship off without having to deal with financial worries. Books and supplies funding, they get about $83 a month to help pay for school, for books and supplies that they need. So that takes another worry out of the way. You'll see there's a website here at the bottom. When you get your set of slides, if you access that, there will be more information on ways for the employer and the employee that is a veteran to access the benefits that are available. Next slide, please. Medical occupations active in Utah. There are 14 occupations currently in active programs at this time in the state of Utah. And that doesn't mean that if your occupation is not listed there that we can't add it. There are many that are still unused at this time that I would love to activate. And the apprenticeship.gov website is listed below. It has a little bit more information on the healthcare industry and registered apprenticeship throughout the nation. Please feel free to check that out or to give me a call and ask questions. And now, next slide, please. I believe I'm handing it off to Joy.
You are, Miss Pat. Thank you. I am Joy Jamerson again, and I am the Program Manager of Outreach, and I'll tell you how Hcap can help you in the state of Utah. Next slide, please. So some of you may say, who is Hcap? What is Hcap? I know when I started, I was like, what does Hcap mean? Hcap is the Healthcare Career Advancement Program. We're a national labor management organization that promotes innovation and quality in healthcare career education. We're also part and an industry partner of the U.S. Department of Labor, and we're recipients of the H-1B Skills Grant and the Closing the Skills Grant. We also have a contract with the DOL to help companies, organizations, schools, institutions create registered apprenticeship programs in healthcare. Next slide, please. So where is Hcap located? We are housed in our main campus is in New York. I haven't been yet. I'm remotely chiming in from Fort Worth, Texas. But the dark spots on this map is where we have done work in the United States of America. Next slide, please. So how can Hcap help the citizens and organizations in Utah? We can help provide technical assistance. So we have on staff subject matter experts who have a total of over 100 years of experience in building registered apprenticeship programs that will help you create your registered apprenticeship programs in your organization. We also help you with working with the USDOL Office of Apprenticeship or your state agency office, who is Ms. Pat. We help develop the on-the-job learning competencies for each healthcare occupation. We help you partner with post-secondary and secondary institutions. I come from the higher ed realm, so I know a lot of institutions that have online training, like Ms. Pat stated. We also help you partner with your local or state regional workforce office, work on strategies to help you recruit and retain the workforce, including diversity. And we can also provide you with incentive funding to help you start up your registered apprenticeship program. Next slide, please. So what is the cost to partner with Hcap? The cost is free. I like to say I don't look good in orange or stripes unless I choose them. And I do not want to have my name changed from Joy Jamerson to DOC 67134. So the cost to partner with Hcap is totally free. All you have to do is follow the next steps to get in touch with us, and we'll make sure that we get in touch with Ms. Pat in the state. Next slide, please. So what are the next steps? Contact yours truly. I have all of my information on the next slide. You'll meet with us to discuss the occupations that you're trying to develop as a registered apprenticeship program. We will help you begin drafting and developing the registered apprenticeship standards, and then helping you identify the educational component. Once your standards are developed and signed off, we will help you submit them to Ms. Pat. I love saying Ms. Pat's name. And then once approved, you begin recruiting your apprentices. Next slide. So I'm going to hand it off to Melissa, where she'll be able to introduce all of our panelists and begin the panel discussion.
Thank you, Joy. I'm really excited to chat with our panelists today and have them share what they're doing, how long they've been doing it, why they're doing it. I think it's really exciting to, really hear from industry themselves, because, we can talk a good game, but we aren't in it all day, every day in healthcare. We are in apprenticeships, but not specific to healthcare all the time. So I think that this panel is very important to be able to share these things. So as you can see with us today, we have Dr. Kimberly Townsend. She is with us from Loretto Health Services out of New York. We also have Nina Perez. She is the co-founder of Trumont, and they have business or work in Florida, Arkansas, New Mexico, and Iowa. And then at some point, we're hoping Jason Castillo will also be able to join us. He is here locally in Utah with the University of Utah College of Social Work, and they have an apprenticeship in behavioral health. So that's who we're going to be speaking with today. I would like to invite each of our panelists initially to tell us, maybe give us a 2-minute spiel about your program and your role or what you do, and then we'll jump right into our questions. Dr. Townsend, let's start with you.
Great, thank you, Melissa. My name is Kim Townsend, and I'm the president and CEO of Loretto, and I'm delighted to be here with all of you today. And just a little bit about Loretto. So Loretto was founded in 1926 on 3 basic principles: partnerships, innovation, and a desire to solve a big social problem. The partnership in 1926 was the Sisters of St. Francis in the Syracuse Diocese, who formed the first home for the aged in North America. And the social problem that they were trying to fix was that as people aged in the community, if they did not have family to care for them, they wound up at the debtor's prison. So they felt that was an undignified end to a good life. So if you fast forward to today, Loretto has 2,500 employees, and we serve 10,000 people a year across 19 sites. We are a long-term care continuum, so everything from subacute care, short-term rehab, long-term care, housing. We have a PACE managed care program, adult medical day programs, and we are likewise a safety net provider. So 70% of the people we serve each year are Medicaid eligible. A little bit about our workforce, because I think it's important. Two things. First of all, 65% of our frontline caregivers are coming from the most highly impoverished zip codes in the United States. Syracuse, New York, has the highest concentration of extreme poverty for Blacks and Hispanics in the United States. And Syracuse is also a United Nations IOM refugee resettlement city. So that is a very important population that we both serve and that we recruit from. And so that's a little bit about Loretto. Excited to talk about our LPN apprenticeship program, which was the first federally registered LPN apprenticeship program in the United States. Thank you.
That is great, Dr. Townsend. Thank you so much. Nina, can you tell us a little bit about Trumont and your role and organization and where all the locations you have?
Absolutely. And thank you for the opportunity for us to share Trumont on this webinar today. And I am Nina Perez. I'm one of the co-founders, along with Lynn Peoples is the other co-founder. And Lynn's actually on the call today. So she can jump in and help answer questions, and I'll too. Lynn and I are both chief nursing officers, and we've been in healthcare well over 35 years, probably closer to 40 or more. And we have had the opportunity to be in many hospitals across the country as CNOs, interim CNOs, and consultants. So we know firsthand what hospital leaders are faced with, not only in their day-to-day operations, but also having to deal with recruitment and also retaining the staff once they're recruited. In 2018, Lynn and I founded Trumont with a mission of supporting excellent care through the development of a program where we could guide the transition of nurses for their first year of practice and help them become highly competent and confident nurses. Our goal was to be a resource for hospital leaders to help their new nurses in that first year of transition. And that's when we discovered apprenticeships. Apprenticeships was not in our mindset when we started to develop this, but we got it developed and then realized that apprenticeship was a great model for us to roll out our program. And I'll just refresh your memory. There are 5 key players in any apprenticeship: the apprentice, the employer, where the person works and gets their OJT, the training provider. We function as a training provider. We provide the training instruction. And the sponsor, we also serve as a sponsor, where we execute the program, manage the administrative aspects, we maintain the required records, we document the OJT hours, which is a requirement, and we also communicate with the 5th player, which is the regulatory body, and we're responsible for the audits. And just in the past 2 years, since we actually rolled out our program in late summer 2020, we've had 2 state audits, which we passed with flying colors. And we also have had a 3rd audit where our feedback was that they wish all of their participants had records like ours. So we're well versed in those requirements. We were one of the first RN apprenticeships in the country. And like I said, we enrolled our first apprentice in late summer 2020. We are currently in 4 states, and we are talking to 2 other states right now. And we have enrolled more than 200 apprentices in the last 2 years, and we work with about 15 employers. We have an active RN apprenticeship and a home health aide apprenticeship, and we also have a healthcare pre-apprenticeship. And we would love, Ms. Pat, for you to be able to add an RN apprenticeship and a home health aide apprenticeship to your list of approved apprenticeships in Utah. We have the standards In Utah, we would have to get the standards approved, but we are ready to enroll apprentices once the standards are approved within just a couple of weeks.
That is great. Thank you so much. So, Dr. Townsend, why don't you tell us why you started doing registered apprenticeships in addition to other training methods?
Yeah, that's great. Well, I would say it was for various reasons. The first of all is that we all know that we have a workforce shortage, particularly in clinical positions, and particularly for those important positions like LPN positions and the role that they play in the long-term care industry. And so that was certainly an important thing for us, as well as the increased need for greater expertise in geriatric care. Various nursing programs focus specifically on the geriatric environment, and with the aging demographic, that's going to be needed. And then, as I mentioned in our conversation, we have a largely female workforce. And so Loretto is committed to providing paths of prosperity for our employees. And the surest way of doing that is through education and advancement. And so this program really has served us well there. And it complements our other training programs. So currently, in-house, internally, we offer home health aid training, we offer CNA training, and that combined with really robust career pathways for all of our frontline employees really made the LPN apprenticeship program a very nice segue for our frontline workers into higher paying and highly desirable positions.
That is so great. We often talk about where people can start in healthcare, or we say, hey, begin here because that's a stepping stone. But we've had a habit of leaving people on the stepping stone instead of providing that visual career path and those opportunities within your organization to grow, hence the reason they take other opportunities. So that is a great example. Thank you for sharing that. What are some of the benefits that you have seen or that your organization has seen since you began your registered apprenticeship program?
Well, there's been a tremendous interest. So what we found from our employees is most of them are very interested in career advancement, but the barrier that they face is the inability to support their families and take time off from work in order to be able to go to school. So that wage stipend has been very critically important for them. And so we had our first cohort that began 3 years ago in 2018. And we are a unionized environment. We partner with 1199 SEIU. So when we put up the bid form for our 10 positions pilot program, we had over 100 people apply. And that has been consistently true. So I think it's really improved the excitement and enthusiasm and feeling of investment that Loretto's making, stickiness, which is so important during the Great Resignation. But now that we've had 3 cohorts under our belt and roughly 40 plus candidates who have gone through the initial 3 cohorts, we have a 90% NCLEX pass rate and an 87% retention rate for those employees in those critical positions. I think that alone speaks volumes to the value of this program to Loretto.
I would totally agree with you. Any employer would love to have those percentage rates of passage and retention. That is very, very key. So Nina, Lynn, why don't I ask the same questions of you? Kind of tell us a little bit more about your programs and then also the benefits that you've seen.
Okay, thank you. Well, nursing education has really changed. Back in the 60s and the 70s, nursing education was more hospital-based schools of nursing. And since then, it's transitioned to more independent academic nursing schools. So we lost a lot of that hands-on, that clinical setting, training and all. And what we've seen is what's called a academic practice gap. And what we see are new nurses that come out, and especially with COVID, they didn't have the opportunity to be in that clinical setting and to gain that confidence in those skills of being there with patients and being at the bedside. And what we've seen is the clinical gap where 50%, the research shows that 50% would miss a life-threatening situation, and only 13% could set priorities, and 73% scored less than 70% on physical assessment skills. And then there's also a culture gap of that lack of integration into the healthcare team, and also a leadership gap of not feeling confident and empowered. And so when we started the program, our first phase is that clinical phase. And as the RN comes out, they go through clinical modules and all. That's just a reminder of what they have learned, and it's based on body systems. So they go through the body system, or the things that they need to have and be aware of that they need to respond to if they see when they're taking care of a patient. It may be the first week they're on the floor. It may be within the first 6 months or even the first 9 months, but those things that they need to be able to recognize and respond to. And then after they complete the clinical part, we go into the culture phase where we have modules on communication, how to work as part of a team, and build that sense of critical thinking and how to be merged into the culture of the hospital and all. And what we're seeing and hearing is that that's really helping them realize that they're not on an island trying to take care of patients, that they have a team that is supporting them and that is invested in their success and all. And I think that really helps the new graduates want to be, that's important to them, that they're surrounded by a team and all. And then our final phase is the leadership phase, where we talk to them about quality, about how to speak up if they see something that's not right, and how to be not only a good team leader, but a team member and all, and have ownership of themselves and the environment they're working with and their patient and all. We also offer a 8-hour preceptor and mentor class that it helps train those people that are there for them in adult learning skills, how to give feedback, and how to help the person grow and all. And with the feedback we've gotten from that, we recently had a CNO that told us that she could see a positive culture shift just from her preceptors and mentors taking the class. And the preceptors and mentors, some of their comments were that the course helped them reflect on their practice and the care that they were provided, and really helped them be a better nurse. Another mentor said, it helped me understand the role I play in being a positive role model and the responsibility to my colleagues and all.
That is great. And, you know, you talk about the mentoring piece, which is so important. We know that is one of the things that really, one of the many things that sets apart a registered apprenticeship program and an apprentice with some of the other types of training opportunities that we have. So let's talk about that a little bit more. And each of you can share kind of the expectations of your mentors, and also kind of the capacity. Has it been a burden on you? Were there changes that you had to make, or does it seem a little more overwhelming than what it really is when we really talk about that mentoring? Let's start with you, Nina, since we did that, and then we'll move to Dr. Townsend.
Well, we are a company that helps hospitals and all, but the feedback that we have gotten has been positive, that people really want to step up to the plate and understand the role that they need to play in the success of the people that are their onboarding and for their hospital and their company and all. So we have not received any negative feedback and all. And I think that is one of the differences between a apprenticeship and a residency program. A lot of healthcare systems and facilities think, well, I have a residency program, so I don't need an apprenticeship, but there's really a difference in all. Residency programs are more geared toward onboarding someone, and the plan is a lot of them for them to stay in contact with the new employee throughout a year. But what we see is many times after that initial orientation phase, the residency sort of falls off, or maybe they meet with them once a month. With a preceptor, it is a one-to-one relationship while you're getting that person, making sure they're competent in their skills. And but then you hand them off to a mentor, and the mentor just has to check in with them every day, every other day, to see how it's going. They're more of a coach, more there for their socialization into the environment, to guide them, to give them advice, someone that the person can just talk to and get advice on what do I need to do next, or am I on the right path? And also, I think that is huge in the apprenticeship, is having that ongoing person, that support and all, to help guide them in their development.
Dr. Townsend?
Yeah, so the critical role in our program is an educator/coordinator role. And that individual holds class for the apprentices 1 day a week. And that class not only reinforces what they're learning in their classroom setting during the week, but also covers those things that are not being covered, which would be emotional intelligence, managing conflict, create critical problem solving, those types of skills. That individual also at the end puts together a customized NCLEX prep program for those individuals and helps them stay on task and on track to be able to successfully sit for the NCLEX exam. And kind of an unanticipated bonus of having this educator/coordinator role is we went out and we canvassed across the Loretto system for any employee who had taken and completed LPN coursework but had not yet taken or successfully completed the NCLEX exam. And we included those individuals in the NCLEX preparation program, and we were able to successfully see people, 17 additional people take the NCLEX exam and pass the NCLEX exam, in addition to all of our apprentices. So that's been an unanticipated benefit. Something that we also offer to all of our employees at Loretto is we have 2 licensed social workers on staff who are employee coaches. And they're not coaches in the sense that they're doing management coaching skills. They're life coaches. So they help people with childcare, arranging transportation, navigating their schedule, working through challenges both here at Loretto as well as at home. And so we feel that by having those 2 key players, that educator coordinator who helps them with all their academic supports, and then our program of the employee coaching program, which helps people navigate life challenges, those 2 things have helped us really get people into the program and see them successfully pass the program and then pass the exam.
That's so great. I think you hit on 2 key things for me. One, other employees were able to benefit from what you were doing with your apprenticeship program and having that prep class. I just think that's so great. The more we can see these integrated models really shows the buy-in from your organization, from the top down, but also the employees on merging some of these things together and how they can really benefit each other and really work out in the long run. So that's great. The other key point that you hit on is wow, what you do to set people up for success. You know, you really are providing what they need. It's not just a, hey, we've got this great program, let's have you enroll if you're interested. Hope things go well for you. We'll see you at the end. I really like the integrated model that you have there as well, in knowing the reality of people. People have lives, people have families, people have responsibilities. And so what can you as an organization to help them be successful? I think that also speaks to your retention, because it wasn't just about being educated for your organization or for the position, but caring about them and their individual life and family, and making sure that they're successful as a whole. So I think we're going to see more things like that happen, especially in Utah, where we have a 1.9% unemployment rate. We can't afford to lose people. So what can we do as individual businesses to help them be successful and help them remain within our companies? That's great. Naya, do you have anything that you want to add to this piece of the conversation?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. We have faculty coaches that interact with the apprentices. We offer discussion forums, which have been very popular, where we will have talked about something, and then we'll pose a question, and the apprentice will respond, and then the other apprentices can respond to the post that they do. And what we see is that really builds that sense of community within your facility, your hospital, where they're getting to know each other and realize that they're not on an island, that I may be Sally in the ICU and John in the ER is having a similar experience and all. And Sally and John get to know each other and respect each other. So when John takes the patient up to Sally in the ICU, then they actually feel like they know each other. And it's been really, it makes you feel good. It warms my heart when I read some of their responses and all to the questions we pose, because this generation really values self-reflection and sharing what's going on. And we see that in the posts and all, and we see the support that they provide each other. If Sally opens up her heart and shares an experience, and then someone else jumps in and says, hey, I experienced the same thing, and this is what I learned, and what I'm going to do different and all. And we really coach them on debriefing situations. We even coach them on debriefing at the end of the day to think about what went well today. What did I learn? What could I do different tomorrow and all, so that they are learning from their experiences and all. And they're also not taking any baggage home with them. We try to help them see that that's closing their day out, and that they can leave that and then go home and re-energize themselves, so that when they come back, their tank is full and they're not coming back still worried about yesterday and all. So we are truly trying to help them build some skills. Our faculty coaches, they have office hours where they can jump in and talk about something. They can email them and set up a one-on-one office hours if they need to. But we're trying to support them as they're growing in those first few weeks, those first few months of transitioning from an academic setting into the healthcare environment. It is so chaotic out there. Every day is different. The patients are very sick and all. So we're trying to provide them the support and understanding what are the things that they can draw on to help them and to help them feel good about what they're doing.
That is great. I've just decided I need a debriefing session before I leave the office. I just see how helpful that is, to help leave your day behind you, knowing what you have accomplished, knowing what you could do differently, but walk away even feeling good about that. Yeah, I could have done something different or could have done something better, but that's okay. I got that tomorrow and I can let that go now. So that's
Absolutely.
awesome. So I'm going to pivot just a little bit. We talked a lot about retention, and I can see what you guys are doing there. Let's talk a little bit about recruitment. Where are you finding your candidates? Are you moving people from within? Are you hiring outside directly into an apprenticeship program? Is there any sort of requirements that they need to do before they begin your program? Hopefully I'm explaining that well. Nina, why don't we go ahead and start with you again, and then we'll move to Dr. Townsend.
Right. Well, actually, the only requirements is they have to be 18, they have to speak English, and they have to have, for the home health aide, at least a high school or a GED. For our RN apprenticeship, they do have to have a RN license and all. So this takes on, once they're in the out of the academic setting into the hospital environment. What we're seeing with our assisted living facilities and all with the home health aide is they're actually taking people that are already inside their facility and developing them. A lot of these people were trained within the facility and all. So what it does is it establishes a baseline of knowledge that everyone has. And it's showing that I value you and I am committed to your growth and all. And so it's really building that sense of retaining the employee and all. And I've been surprised at how important it is to people to have a certificate or to have something behind their name that they can say, hey, I've accomplished this, I'm proud of this. Our Pre-Apprenticeship Program, which was funded by the state of Florida, we just kicked off a few weeks ago. And just talking to some of those people, it has been very touching to me that they may be working in the industry, but they want something, a certificate. I was talking to one last week. She said, you know, I'm working, but I really don't have a certificate or anything. So I encouraged her to enroll, and how that would get her on a pathway that she could have a certificate and all. So I think people value the growth. They value how you're helping them develop and grow and all. And then what with our program, once they finish the program, we take them through the preceptor and mentor program so that they will be ready for the next new person that comes on board. They'll have those skills. They know what they're going to be taught. And also they know how to give them the feedback and be there to be their preceptor and mentor.
That's great. Dr. Townsend.
Yeah, so our program, because we do our program in collaboration with 1199 and their training and upgrading fund, our program is an incumbent worker program. So the individuals who are in this program are food service workers, housekeeping, home health aides, CNAs, could be drivers, pace drivers. And so it allows them to effectively double their income in a year. So it's life-changing for many of our employees. They're buying their first home, they're sending their child to college, they're able to give their children all the enrichment and things that they're looking to offer them. But I would also say it's attractive from a recruiting perspective, because when our people come into our system, most of them come in through those frontline jobs. And within 6 months, they're able to bid into the LPN apprenticeship program and have a clear shot to being part of that program. And so particularly for the populations that we draw from a recruiting perspective, which would be, we draw very heavily from the refugee population. So at one point we had 8 Cuban doctors who were certified nurses aides in our facilities. So the LPN apprenticeship program was very attractive to them. We also have a robust reentry program for individuals who were formerly justice involved, as well as our community center recruitment strategy. This is something that we promote very heavily, because what we can share with somebody is, you're coming in right now as a food service worker, but in 6 months you can bid into this program, and within a year you can have a nationally recognized certification. You will have effectively at least doubled your income, and that's a game changer. And people embrace that and are willing to go the extra mile to see that happen.
And if I could add to that, we have a hospital that is starting their 2nd year, and they have adapted the model of this is how we're going to onboard our new nurses and all. And they were in a situation where they were not able to fill their all of their open slots. And last year and this year, they have completely been able to hire into all of their open slots just by being able to advertise that this is what we have, this is how we're going to transition you into the hospital environment. And before we rolled out in the summer of 2020, during the spring, which was just when COVID was hitting everything, the clinicals were being deleted from the hospitals for the senior students. We worked with a university in Florida that had 140 new grads that they were not going to be able to graduate and get into the work sector because they could not complete the requirements that they needed to graduate. And so we offered our program to them free of charge, and they took it and took some of the modules, the leadership modules, because that's what they needed to complete, and were able to graduate 140 students that spring quarter of, I guess it was 2020. And we surveyed those students and all, and the number one thing that was important to them when they graduated was that they had a structured transition to practice program. And then they would be able to see a career path for growth and development and all. So our senior students are telling us that's what they want. They realize that it is a hectic world out there, that they want someone to hold their hand and to help develop them, which I think is just key. And that's one reason that when we start off our program, we go back over, we don't reteach them nursing schools, but we just provide that, okay, this is a review by body system of what you just learned over the last 2 to 3 to 4 years and all, and sort of bring that up. And so give them that confidence. Yeah, I know what I'm doing. I'm ready for this and all, so that when they go in and what they're facing is they have some confidence going into it. And I have to tell you, I followed the first people that went through and took, because we give them the information and then we give them quiz questions and all. And they can take the quiz as many times as they want. Our job is not to shame them that they might not know something. We just want them to go back and read the information if they don't know it and all. But very few could take the quizzes without reviewing the material and getting that back in their forefront of, hey, I did learn this, I do know that. And we didn't point that out to them because that was not our job. Our job was, we just wanted them to remember, hey, I did learn about this system and this is what I need to know and all. So it's exciting to be a part of transitioning someone into the healthcare development environment and giving them that confidence and helping them build that confidence to be a great healthcare worker.
Yeah, that's one of the things I love about apprenticeships. It's you're learning by doing, but you're learning as you're doing as you're learning the material. Right. And sometimes that can be difficult. And yes, in a residency, you have to have, your degree before you move on. We get that, but there are so many others that you don't yet. It can be a part of the program and result in that. And what an advantage that is for people, especially those that are more hands-on learners rather than just book learning, or someone that entered into a degree program and maybe they took the technical pieces of their program 2 years before they graduated. And so then they graduate and then they've got to rack their brain to see where they're at. And so that's great that you have that learning opportunity for them so that they can recall those skills that they learned and start applying them and making sure they really understood the material and what it is. that recall of information, right? Because we know they already knew it and had it. But that's great. And you hit on a couple of key things too, kind of where I was going in terms of diversity, looking at, refugee candidates. Again, here in Utah with a 1.9% unemployment rate, we're going to have to be looking at things differently. So how do we work with those who may not have been successful in other learning environments, or need a change in career because of the pandemic and need something more stable and need to have those increased wages? What about those individuals from other countries that were, a doctor in their country of origin, but we know they can't be here? Well, how can they still use those skills and still feel valued, right? Because they are very, very smart people, and we want to make sure that we engage them and respect the things that they did learn, but also teaching them, the way of doing things here, but yet still acknowledging the experiences and the skills that they did gain. So that is all really, really good. Now, do either of you have sites in rural areas, or have you been working there? And then also, this will even move us past that, beyond that with recruiting, but what are some of the challenges or barriers you may have had to overcome within your organizations to help advance this and move this forward? Dr. Townsend, let's begin with you this time.
Yeah, so we do have a facility that is in a USDA rural designated area. And so the LPN apprenticeship program is open to those employees as well. And then in terms of barriers, I would say our initial barrier was Loretto and 1199 tried for years to put together an LPN apprenticeship program. It was not until we received the technical assistance and guidance from Hcap that we were able to get our LPN program over the finish line. So initially, there were issues around scope of practice and licensure, and without Hcap's technical assistance and assistance in terms of identifying funding, this program would not exist. So a huge hats off and thank you to Hcap. I think our near-term issue is one of demand, which is we consistently have overwhelming demand for this program, but a limited number of spaces because of our education partner and the number of courses that they offer each year. So that's a good problem to have, is that everyone wants to be in the LPN apprenticeship program, and we would certainly love to accommodate that, but unfortunately we're constrained because of the number of seats available with our education partner.
Nina, same questions to you.
Okay. The first thing I want to share is that all of our modules have a voice recording. We added that once we got started. We added it this past year because it came to our attention that we do have people that English is not their primary language, and we help that. I think that helps them develop those skills and all. The other good thing is they can go back and review the material. They have access to it, so they can go back and review the material as many times as they want, or if they need to go back, later on after they finish the module and look something up, they have access to the program and all. We are in some rural areas. It works well. We have 2 hospitals in Arkansas that are in the same cohort. And then we're bringing on a 3rd hospital that they wanted in Arkansas to work with them. That's not even a sister hospital and all. So we see it builds that team and all among the, not only the apprentices, but also among the leaders and all. They want to learn from each other and share and all. So we can set it up based on the facility, how they want. That's one thing that's good, is that it's not necessarily a canned approach. We work with the facility to see what will work best for you. I think one of the challenges is helping people understand apprenticeships. We have done a lot of education in the last year, and we had to get up to speed. So we really immersed ourselves in apprenticeships because we saw that as a model that was so helpful and would help take us back to the times when our nurses were learning as they were being educated. They were at the bedside and all. So we think apprenticeships are the way to help transition the new graduate nurses or the home health aides. It's working very well with the home health aides. So it's just a win-win for everyone.
May I add a comment about scalability in the rural area, Nina?
Yes.
We purposefully built the program for it to be scalable, and we do have rural cohorts actually in every state. The way we deliver the program is intended to be online and blended learning. So we do use blended learning theory, and so our program is, as any apprenticeship, learning is intertwined with doing, but it goes to a different level because we have the education and the employer are intertwined. So that's what Nina keeps referring to about the employers and how important it is for us, since we aren't the employer of the apprentice, to bond with all of our employers. But which it creates a level of challenge. Is a little bit different from an employer owning the program themselves. They have to get ownership of that program. But the great thing about it is, and Kimberly's point is so well taken. It's so tragic that as much as we need healthcare workers, the way we've always done things still is very much a seat in a desk, and that limits our volume. And that's the reason we went in a different direction, trying to break out of that mold. So we don't have limited slots. The limitation for our program is not location, but it's the employer buy-in. And it is intended to be delivered in a network throughout a state. So I just throw in that issue. I think Nina and I take it so for granted, our whole team does, that we live in blended learning, but it is different. And sometimes when we're talking about it, people don't understand that part of it, which is the great upside is it is scalable. So I'll be quiet. Thank you, Nina.
I really appreciate that, Lynn, and you pointing that out, because I think it's important to know that there are so many different models that can be used. It's not a one size fits all. It's not a, this is the perfect way to do it. It's whatever is going to work for your organization. And I like the point that you bring out about the different responsibilities. An individual organization can choose to develop and set up their own program, or if they don't have the capacity or don't have the desire to manage their own and want someone else to do that for them, then they can also connect with what we call an intermediary sponsor. That one, is similar to your organization, where you are the one getting things approved, reporting to the Department of Labor, and letting them focus on the employment piece and the on-the-job learning piece of their businesses. So I think that's so key to point out that there are several options. But you're right, creating the buy-in, part of that is just understanding what apprenticeships really are and the value they can truly bring to their organization, which is why we have things like this, right? And so I truly appreciate each of you today and you sharing what you're doing. I will ask you two final questions, and you can answer one or both. If you had to identify a constraint or a barrier within with having registered apprenticeships in healthcare in general, what would that be? And then also on the flip side, what gem or unexpected reward did you receive as part of your organization or identify because of implementing registered apprenticeships? Dr. Townsend?
Yeah, so I think I identified the barrier, which is just, demand far exceeding our ability to accommodate at this point. So I'll focus on the second question, and certainly I would say a couple of things were unanticipated positive benefits. First of all, the fact that we were able to, over a period of 3 years, graduate 37 LPNs through this program, in addition to another 17 LPNs who were able to finally pass the NCLEX, has been a huge boon to our organization, adding 54 LPNs across the system in a time where, at least in our area, extremely difficult to find LPNs, has been incredibly beneficial. And then I think the other really positive benefit is just the stories of the apprentices themselves. The things that they've been able to do when they've moved from working in a job where maybe they were making $14 an hour to now working in a job where they're making $28 an hour, and with overtime, sometimes making as much as $140,000 a year. That's a home run for any family. And a lot of our employees are single parents. They're young, they have young families, and just hearing their stories of the things that they're now able to do with their families, the dreams that they're now able to have for their children, has been incredibly gratifying, aside from any benefit that the organization's received.
Great, thank you. Nina?
Yeah, and I'll just summarize. I think we've already touched on the points and all, but I think the biggest barrier for us is people not understanding apprenticeships and feeling comfortable embracing something new. And all is probably the biggest challenge. And it's been for us just educating people and helping them understand the benefits of an apprenticeship. And I think the reward is when a hospital says, hey, this is our model that we want to onboard people, is a huge win. Because we know it's working. And then when they come to us and say, hey, can you do an LPN apprenticeship? We want to transition our LPNs. And sort of seeing that ball growing and that people at the hospital level understanding, hey, this is working, how can we do more of it and all, has just been, and that's happening this year because last year was our first year. So we're seeing those people come back and saying, hey, we want to continue it, and can we do this and all.
That's great. And I think that speaks to the success, right? You only have to have one success in order to keep growing, because one leads to two, leads to four, and so on and so forth. So that's really exciting to see that growth happening for you and in your area. While we see if anyone has any other questions, I'm going to briefly share what the University of Utah College of Social Work is doing. They received a HRSA grant to develop registered apprenticeships in behavioral health. So with their substance abuse disorder counseling, they were able to help students gain this additional experience. So this is built into their program there at the U. You're already enrolled in their social work programs. You do an internship, and then you're eligible to apply for this apprenticeship. And I think it's so critical because we know that in Utah, that is one of the areas that we do have. We have a particular county that was high in opioid use. And of course, we've seen that, getting higher everywhere, right? So having these supports in the behavioral health areas with substance disorder abuse and use, and then also Utah State with their peer support specialists and family support specialists to help in that area. So if you do want more information, feel free to reach out to myself or Alexia Murphy about that, and we can connect you directly to Jason Castillo offline so that you can learn more about that program as well. I think I only saw one question that came into the chat, and that was for you, Dr. Townsend. Who do you use for your formal LPN training?
Yes, so we use a county-sponsored education program, which is the only LPN program in our area. So we've only got one program and we're limited to them. And it's part of the State University of New York. But it might be helpful to people to also understand who our other partners are and our streams of funding for the program from a sustainability perspective. So of course, Hcap, as I've noted, has been a tremendous partner to us and continues to support our efforts. Our primary partners are BOCES, which is this education institute that's part of the State University of New York, 1199 and their training and upgrading fund, as well as our local economic development agency, which has assisted us with funding. So I would encourage people, there is a lot of apprenticeship dollars out there right now. Seek multiple streams of funding. Hcap was extremely helpful in helping us identify those. So we receive dollars through federal DOL dollars, state DOL dollars, private foundation dollars, local economic development dollars, and then of course we put money in as well as the training and upgrading fund. But there are sufficient resources available to do these programs, so please do not let money be an obstacle. Reach to Joy and the Hcap team, or your partners in Utah can help you as well. But money should not be the barrier here.
I would also like to point out, like Dr. Thompson said, and all of the panelists has stated before I even got this position, I've heard about registered apprenticeships, but didn't understand the registered apprenticeship model. So being in this position and being privy to the information that's being provided by all states, I have really, it's mind-blowing that this information and this option is out there. Had I known 20-something years ago, when I was in college, I could have enrolled into a registered apprenticeship program. I think I would have been in the healthcare industry when I graduated. Even when I graduated high school, I wanted to go into the healthcare field, but me and blood didn't mix. So, but if I would have had this as an option, it would have maybe changed my career pathway. And that's the good thing about having a registered apprenticeship and even a pre-apprenticeship when you're going into the high schools, is introducing the healthcare industry and making a pathway available to those who can't choose between working and going to school. I've worked with low-income first generations in my entire career, and it's just mind-blowing how many people want to go into a certain industry but can't afford to stop working to get the training, or they got the training but can't get the position. With a registered apprenticeship option as a recruiting tool, you're breaking down those barriers. Instead of building barriers, you're breaking down 2 barriers at one time, and you're creating that pathway for that individual. So I'm hoping that you all that's on the call take heed to the information that was provided on the call and try to implement a registered apprenticeship.
I'll just add, Joy, thank you for that. One of the advantages to working with us is both Alexia and I are part of the Department of Workforce Services here in Utah. That means that within our organization, outside of Utah, you hear about workforce development boards, correct? Inside of Utah, we have a state workforce development board, but we are also a single state. So we only have one, and it's Workforce Services that has been the governor's designee to manage that state workforce development board. And within our organization, we hold WIOA, we hold TANF, we hold vocational rehabilitation, we hold veteran services. And so there's just, and even our housing and community development, if you're looking to have access to those who have been homeless, and then also refugee services. So we are a large organization that have access to multiple funding sources for those that are eligible and appropriate. We know that we try to help provide funding for those that we can. We know that they are limited to being income-based programs, but we also apply for grants. And so we currently have a grant that we're wrapping up, but there is a little bit of funding left with our apprenticeship state expansion grant that we're again wrapping up. So we'll have to see, what's left as we close out the fiscal year. But it's not the only opportunity. We will look for other grant opportunities as well. In the state of Utah, we also have the Governor's Office of Economic Development and partnership with the Utah System of Higher Education, the Talent Ready Apprenticeship Connection grants. Those will be replenished as of July 1st, where if businesses are working with their local public post-secondary institutions and even secondary institutions, if you're working with youth or considering youth, there's an opportunity to apply for those funds as well. We have 4 minutes left. Joy, did you have anything else that you wanted to mention?
No, I just want to thank everyone for joining the webinar. There is a survey. We would love for you all to take time. It's about 4 minutes long to complete the survey, to give us your feedback on the webinar, and the slide decks will be made available to you all through email.
The best way to explore opportunities that exist here in Utah right now is to contact myself or Alexia Murphy. We can kind of share what's going on currently as a whole, but also Pat Miller. She can tell you what employers are already working in the healthcare sector. If you wanted to chat with some others or we needed to connect you, Pat has been a great resource so that when you're thinking about starting your program, it's not about starting from scratch. We look at what already exists so that we can help provide you some templates and some resources so that you're not quite as overwhelmed. And Alexia has had a great role as a liaison, working directly with Pat, and has some great contacts outside the state as well, just like Pat. So we do everything we can to find something similar to what you're asking so that we can share those resources and not necessarily reinvent the wheel. But if there's no other questions, I just thank everyone for being here, and we really hope to hear from you as you let this sink in and think about your role and how you might participate in providing these options in the future.